So, digging right in, what really happened with the Hunter Biden story suppression by Twitter will be published on Twitter at 5 p.m. EST. Then a couple hours later, we see that Matt Taibbi tweets the thread, which I will also link down below, and it reads, number 1, thread, the Twitter files. We are about to read in the first installment of a series based upon thousands of internal documents obtained by sources at Twitter. The Twitter files tell an incredible story from inside one of the world's largest and most influential social media platforms. It is a Frankenstein tale of a human-built mechanism grown out of the control of its designer. Twitter, in its conception, was a brilliant tool for enabling instant mass communication, making a true real-time global conversation possible for the first time. In its early conception, Twitter more than lived up to its mission statement, giving people, quote, the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. As it progressed, however, the company was slowly forced to add these barriers. Some of the first tools for controlling speech were designed to combat the likes of spam and financial fraudsters. Slowly, over time, Twitter staff and executives began to find more and more uses of these tools. Outsiders began petitioning the company to manipulate speech as well. First a little, then more often, then constantly. By 2020, requests from connected actors to delete tweets were routine. One executive would write to another, more to review from the Biden team, then the reply would come back handled. This is an internal document showing exactly what Twitter wrote. All these links, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all of these different accounts, the Biden team is sending Twitter internally these tweets to ban on their platform. Celebrities and unknowns alike could be removed or reviewed at the behest of a political party. Twitter wrote, I grabbed the first one under SI, defer to safety in the high-profile second one. On Saturday, they wrote an additional report from DNC, and these are 2 more tweets. Both parties had access to these tools. For instance, in 2020, requests from both the Trump White House and the Biden campaign were viewed and honored. However, the system wasn't balanced. It was based on contact. Because Twitter was and is overwhelmingly staffed by people of one political orientation, there were more channels, more ways to complain open to the left, well Democrats, than to the right. So, in the cycle 2022, a total of $185,267 came from all of these Democrats and Republicans. The total percentage of Democrats that donated to this was 99.73%. The total percentage of Republicans, 0.27%. In 2020, the total of $968,749 came from 98.47% Democrats and 1.53% Republicans. In 2018, $309,394 came from 96.38% Democrats and 3.62% Republicans. The resulting slant in a content moderation decisions is visible to the documents you're about to read. However, it's also an assessment of multiple current and former high-level executives. Okay, there was more to throat clearing about the process, but screw it. Let's jump forward. The Twitter Files, Part 1. How and why Twitter blocked the Hunter Biden laptop story. Number 17. On October 14, 2020, the New York Post published Biden's secret emails, an expose based on concepts of the Hunter Biden abandoned laptop. Twitter took extraordinary steps to suppress the story, removing links and posting warnings that it might be unsafe. They even blocked its transmission via direct message, a tool reserved for extreme cases. Example, child pornography. Number 19. White House spokesperson Kyla was locked out of her account for tweeting about the story, prompting a furious letter from Trump campaign staffer Mike Halem, who seethed, at least pretend to care for the next 20 days. So, this was on October 14, 2020 at 7:19 p.m. She was banned. All she did was cite the story and first-hand reporting that has been reported by other outlets and not disputed by the Biden campaign. I need an answer immediately on when/how she will be unblocked. I also do not appreciate how nobody on this team called me regarding this news that you will be censoring news articles. Like I said, at least pretend to care for the next 20 days. This led public policy executive Catherine Storm to send out a polite "what WTF" query. Several employees noted that there was tension between the comms slash policy teams, who had little slash less control over moderation, and the safety slash trust teams. Hi team, are we able to take a closer look here? Thank you. This was the email sent internally. Number 21. Storm's note returned to the answer that the laptop story has been removed for a violation of the company's hacked materials policy. This is from Elgin Soreto, an ops analyst, global escalations team. So, hi Catherine, thanks for reaching out to us. Per checking, the user was bounced by site integrity for violating our hacked materials policy. Adding them here for further insights and guidance. Thanks. Number 22. Although several sources recalled hearing about a general warning from federal law enforcement that summer about possible foreign hacks, there's no evidence that I've seen of any government involvement in the laptop story. In fact, that might have been the problem. 23. The decision was made at the highest levels of the company, but without the knowledge of the CEO, Jack Dorsey, with former head of legal policy and trust, Via Gade, playing a key role. Number 24. They just freelanced it, is how one former employee categorized the decision. Hacking was an excuse, but within a few hours, pretty much everyone released that wasn't going to hold, but no one had any guts to reverse it. Number 25. You can see that the conclusion in the following lengthy exchange, which ends up including Gade and former Trust and Safety Chief Yoel Roth. Commons official Trenton Kennedy writes, I'm struggling to understand the policy basis for marking this material as unsafe. So, in 2020, this was October 14, 2020, New York Post, Hunter Biden laptop article, privileged and confidential. Our teams continue to investigate the origins of the material and close in the reporting. Trenton Kennedy, I'm struggling to understand the policy basis for marking this as unsafe. I think the best explanation argument for this extremely extraordinary would be that we're waiting to understand if the story will result of hacked material. We'll face hard questions on this if we don't have some kind of solid reasoning for marking this link as unsafe. Then Trenton Kennedy CCs all of these people at Twitter, and then Caddy, which is one of the people that was CC'd, says, will we also mark similar stories as unsafe? And then they posted an article from Fox News about the reporting on the committee on this Hunter Biden laptop story. Number 26. By this point, everyone knew that this was effed up, said one former employee, but the response was essentially to err the side of continuing to err. Yoel Roth. The policy basis is hacked materials, though, as discussed, this is an emerging situation where the facts remain unclear. Given the severe risks here and lessons of 2016, we're erring on the side of including a warning in preventing this content from being amplified. What is the warning that will come up? New. When you click on the link, you'll see the generic unsafe URL message, references spam, malware, and violations of the Twitter rules. Not ideal, but it's the only thing we have. New. Whatever we do in the comments, this will become the basis claim for Jack pre-hearing immediately. Let's make it clear. We're proactively but cautiously intercepting this though the lens of our hacked materials policy and allowing the link with a warning and significant reduction of speed. Number 27. Former VP of Global Commons, Brendan Boren, asked, can we truthfully claim that this is part of the policy? I.e., as part of our approach addressing potentially hacked materials, we are limiting visibility on related stories on Twitter while our investigation is ongoing. Number 28. To former Deputy General Counsel Jim Baker, again, seems to advise saying the non-course because caution is warranted. I support the conclusion that we need more facts to assess whether the materials were hacked. At this stage, however, it is reasonable for us to assume that they have been and caution is warranted. There are some facts that indicate that these materials have been hacked, while there are others inciting that the computer was either abandoned and or the owner consented to allow the report shop to access it for at least some purposes. We simply need more information. But again, this is what people are not saying. Who is the Twitter team to allow the people to speak on something? Who is the Twitter team to allow or not allow something on their platform? You need to see if it's misinformation or not. Shut up and let the facts come out. You need to allow speech to happen, and if it comes out that it's fake, then it comes out that it's fake. It does not matter. It does not rely on you to suppress information. This is getting me a lot annoyed. Number 29, a fundamental problem with the tech companies and content moderation. Many people in charge of speech know/care little about speech and have been told the basis of the outsiders, to wit. In one humorous exchange on day one, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna reaches out to Gade to gently suggest she hop on the phone to talk about the backlash free speech. Carmona was the only Democratic official I could find in the files who expressed concern, generating huge backlash on Hill speech. Happy to chat if you're up to it. Best Row, sent from my iPhone. Gladdy replies quickly, immediately diving into the weeds of Twitter policy, unaware Karma is more worried about the Bill of Rights. Hi, Congressman Karma. Thank you for reaching out, and we appreciate the heads up. We put out clarifying thread of tweets earlier in this evening to explain our policy around the posting of private information and linking directly to hacked materials. The press's secretary account was not permanently suspended. We've requested that she delete the tweet containing material that is in violation of our rules, and her account is restricted until she complies. I'd be happy to jump on the phone if helpful. My team in DC, Jessica and Lauren, are copied here and also available to discuss. Number 32, Karmna tries to reroute the conversation to the First Amendment, mention of which she is genuinely hard to find in the files. Ro, Karna to Gaddy, Ro, Karna, hope you're well. Vijosa, but this seems to be a violation of the First Amendment principles. If there is a hack of classified information or other information that could expose a serious war crime, and the New York Times was to publish it, I think the New York Times should have the right. A journalist should not be held accountable for legal actions of the source unless they actively aid the hack. So to restrict the distribution of the material, especially regarding a presidential candidate, seems not to be keeping on the principles of the NYT v. Civilian. I say that this is a total Biden partisan and convinced he didn't do anything wrong, but the story now has become more of a censorship than relatively nauseous emails, and it's become a bigger deal than it would have been. It also is now leading to serious effects in Court Section 230, may of which would have been a mistake. I believe Twitter itself should not curtail what it recommends or puts on trending news. And your policy against QAnon groups is all good. It's hard to balance. But in the heat of a presidential campaign, restricting dissemination of newspaper articles, even if the New York Post is far right, seems like it will invite more backlash than it will do good. Please keep this communication just between us and Jack, and no need to CC the team or forward it to them. Just want to offer my 2 cents. Number 33, within a day, the head of policy, Lauren Culberstone, receives a ghostly letter report from Carl Sabo of the research firm NetChoice, which has already pulled 12 members of Congress, 9 Republicans and 3 Democrats from the House Judiciary Committee to Rep. Judy Cho's office. Yesterday, NetChoice's Chris Merchandise met informally with 9 Republicans and 3 Democratic House staffers to gather intel about Facebook and Twitter and the New York Post story. The staffers hail from the House Judicial Committee to Rep. Judy Crow's office. This system wasn't balanced. It was balanced on the contracts. Wait, I read that already. Okay. NetChoice lets Twitter know a bloodbath awaits it in upcoming Hill hearings, with members saying that it is a tipping point, complaining tech has grown so big that they can't even regulate themselves. So government needs to intervene. High-level takeaway. Every Republican said that this is a tipping point, it's just too much, and both Democrats and Republicans were angry. Scudno reports to Twitter that some Hill figures are categorizing the laptop story as text access Hollywood moment. When Asked about how bad the situation is, one staffer said it's text access Hollywood moment and it has no Hillary to hide behind. Others were more blunt. Tech is screwed, and rightfully so. Twitter files continued. The First Amendment isn't absolute. Scroto's letter contains chilling passages, relaying Democratic lawmakers' attitudes. They want more moderation, and as for the Bill of Rights, it's not absolute. The Democrats, meanwhile, complained that the companies are incept. They let conservatives muddy in the water and make Biden's laptop look corrupt, even though Biden is innocent. They linked this to the Hillary Clinton's email scandal. She did nothing wrong because the press wouldn't let the story go. It became a scandal far out of proportion. In their minds, social media is doing the right thing. It doesn't moderate enough harmful content, so when it does, like it did yesterday, it becomes a story. If the companies moderated more, conservatives wouldn't even think to use media for disinformation, misinformation, or otherwise. The Democrats were in agreement. Social media needs to moderate more because they're corrupting democracy and making all truth relative. When pushed on how the government might insist on that constant with the First Amendment, they demurred the First Amendment is not absolute, which obviously is a talking point. An amazing subplot of the Twitter/Hunter Biden laptop affair was how much was done without the knowledge of CEO Jack Dorsey and how long it took for the situation to get uneffed, as one of the ex-employees put it, and after Dorsey jumped in. There are multiple instances in the files Dorsey intervening to question suspensions and other moderation access. An amazing subpart of the Twitter/Biden laptop affair was how much would be done without the knowledge of CEO Jack Dorsey and how long it took for the situation to get uneffed. As one ex-employee put it, even after Dorsey jumped in. There are multiple instances in which files of Dorsey intervening to question suspensions and other moderation actions for accounts across the political spectrum. The problem with the hacked materials ruling, several sources said, was that this normally required an official/law enforcement finding of a hack, but such a finding never appears throughout what one executive describes as a whirlwind, 24-hour company-wide mess. Hi, Ols. As you probably were aware, Twitter actioned tweets yesterday relating to two New York Post articles that were tweeted out that allegedly included pictures and screenshots of emails from a laptop that was allegedly belonged to Hunter Biden, political candidate Joe Biden's son. Our teams made this determination that the materials fall under our hacked materials policy, in addition to sharing personal information. So links were actioned. As you may know, this existing policy framework was launched in 2018 to mitigate real-time harm based on hack and leak scenarios coming out of the 2016 election. Several high-profile accounts, including press outlets, were impacted by this decision and were actioned. Unfortunately, the language that was provided in the product would have created confusion, inciting the links were spam or unsafe. Constantly, Twitter Safety explained that the reasoning here is a thread. This morning, the New York Post tweeted additional links to the story that contained pictures and screenshots of the emails that were also actioned. The teams determined that a Trump campaign tweet was actioned for containing PPI, would not be reactioned because it was retweeted without the PPI blurred. I know that there are questions that you probably have and are probably going to get a lot incoming stakeholders, government, academics, civil society, etc. The last 24 hours certainly have been a whirlwind with lots of curves and unknowns, and we fully expect the issues surrounding the matter will continue to swirl in the coming days, so thank you for everyone for your patience. It's been a whirlwind 96 hours for me. There's so much more to come, including answers to questions about the issues like shadow banning, boosting follower accounts, and fate of various individual accounts, and more. These issues are not limited to the political right. Good night, everyone. Thanks to everyone who has picked up the phone in the last few days. And with that, this has finished the segment or we should say saga number 1 of the Twitter expose from Elon Musk and his team. So I'm very, very proud of Elon Musk. I think Elon Musk did a very, very good job in exposing everything that Twitter has to offer in this aspect. I feel like the team over in the investigative journalism should do a lot more. They should do a lot more in exposing exactly what Twitter was doing, not only in the Hunter Biden story, but also in the COVID story and the Wuhan labs theories and all of these other things that they were suppressing for the last coming years. They should also talk about how they interfered in the 2016 election to try to not get Trump elected. And they should also talk about how they interfered in the 2020 election. And yes, they did some right now with the suppression of information, but they should also talk about other things also. There's a lot of things to talk about, and obviously they know about all of these things, but let's see if saga number 2 and saga number 3 comes out with all of this other information. Now, I want to thank Elon Musk for actually doing this. Twitter would have never came out with this information if it was not for Elon Musk. So I do applaud him, and I applaud everybody on the team working to investigate this case. Thank you all. And without further ado, we're going to begin with our next segment, A Dozen Takes.